Something massive is happening in higher education. It's being completely reshaped by generative AI. We're really standing at the threshold of a new era. But is it a renaissance for learning, or is it the end of the university as we know it? So let's dive in and figure it out.
To really get a grip on how big this moment is, we need to zoom out a bit. Education has been rocked by these huge transformative forces before. You had the printing press in the 1440s, the modern research university in the 1800s, and then the digital revolution of the 90s, and boom, each one totally flipped the script. And that's where generative AI comes in. This isn't just another app on your phone, it's the next huge wave on this timeline.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll map out this new educational era, we'll step inside the AI-powered classroom, we'll look at how the role of the educator is evolving. Then we'll tackle some of those really tough ethical questions. And finally, we'll look at the big choice that lies ahead for all of us.
All right, first up, let's really wrap our heads around the scale of what's going on here. This is not about just another tech gadget for the classroom. No, we are talking about a fundamental shift that redefines what it even means to learn and to be educated.
So when we say it's a disruptive force, what does that actually mean? Well, it means AI is changing the whole engine of education. How we create knowledge, how we access it, how we interact with it, and how we share it. It literally touches everything.
And this quote, man, it just nails it. You can't just keep AI on the sidelines anymore. It has to be treated as a central partner. So you see, you can't just kind of dip your toes in. Success here requires a complete change in how we think, not just a few new tricks in the classroom.
Okay, I know that sounds pretty big picture, maybe a little abstract. So let's bring it down to earth. What does this actually look like in a real classroom, right now? Let's take a look.
Okay, picture a math student, right? They're stuck on an equation. Now, instead of having to wait for office hours, they can get instant, personalized feedback from an AI tutor right there in the moment. It helps them catch their mistakes immediately and really lets the concepts sink in.
And hey, this isn't just for the math and science folks. Think about a literature class. A student can actually have a conversation with an AI about a novel. The AI can act like a debate partner, throwing out different critical perspectives to help the student sharpen their own argument before they ever step into the classroom. How cool is that?
And then you get to something like engineering, and wow, the possibilities are just huge. AI can spin up these super complex simulations, letting students solve real-world problems in a virtual space. It's like a sandbox for engineers, giving them practical skills that used to be almost impossible to teach in a traditional classroom.
So, with all this new tech flying around, you gotta ask, what happens to the professor? Well, their role is going through a massive transformation. It's shifting from being the sole creator of everything to becoming a curator of the entire learning experience.
And this is a really big deal. Think about it. The old model was the sage on the stage, the one person with all the answers. The new role? It's more like a guide on the side. The professor is now the orchestrator, guiding students through this rich mix of texts, conversations with each other, and these powerful AI tools.
And let's be super clear, this doesn't make the professor less important. If anything, it makes them more important, because by letting AI handle some of the grunt work, faculty get their time back. Time for what really matters, that one-on-one mentoring, sparking real debate, and igniting that intellectual curiosity that is the whole point of education.
Okay, but it's not all smooth sailing. Jumping into AI isn't just a tech problem, it's an ethical minefield. And that means we have to ask the hard questions to make sure we're doing this right.
So, let's be real for a second. What are the risks here? We can't just talk about all the good stuff without looking at the potential downsides.
And there are some big ones we absolutely have to talk about. First, are students just going to get lazy? Are they going to become overly dependent on AI and stop thinking for themselves? Then there's bias. These AI systems are trained on human data, so how do we stop them from just repeating and amplifying our own societal biases? And of course the big one, academic integrity. What does cheating even look like anymore? These are not easy questions.
But for all of those valid concerns, the potential upside is just massive. At its best, this technology lets us, quote, personalize education in ways that were once impossible. This is where AI can become this incredible force for good, for making education more fair and more inclusive.
And we're not just talking about some far-off future. This is happening right now. For example, an ESL student can get instant help with their academic writing. A learner with a disability can get a learning path that's completely customized to them. You can even take a giant 500-person lecture and make it feel personal for every single student. That's the power we're talking about.
And all of this brings us to our final point, the choice that's right in front of us. We are at this huge fork in the road, and the decisions these universities make today are going to define education for a long, long time.
And make no mistake, the stakes are incredibly high. This quote says it all. Institutions that cling to old models risk becoming irrelevant. Basically, if you try to ignore this, you risk getting left behind entirely.
And I really want to drive this home. This isn't some sci-fi fantasy about the future. The foundation for what's next in education is being laid right now, as we speak. This shift is happening.
So that leaves us with one final and, I think, pretty powerful question. See, this isn't just a conversation for university presidents or Silicon Valley. This affects every single one of us, students, teachers, all of us. The next chapter of education is being written. So the question is, what role are we going to choose to play in building it?